And everybody, we are back and in action. And so we are
What is it? As you
back
wish.
to exploring the town of Gildersleeve, or whatever the fuck it is. Gilded Vale. Ginger Snaps. Yeah, I think I already went up this way. But I just noticed a plant I hadn't picked. Go pick that plant, my wizardly friend. Oh, what's this building? All attacks are resisted by one of the 4 defenses. Didn't know that already. This man and woman appear to be have been in deep conversation, working at closing 2 bulging satchels. They move to embrace until the woman notices your approach and pauses, her smile faltering a little.
Gods keep you.
That's not what she said. Can we help? She looks to her companion, brows furrowing with confusion. Do you know this woman, Nanton? Nanton coughs. Yes, I think we met in the Valewood. I warned her about the bear. Glad to see you made it. Was there something else that you wanted? You two seem to be in a hurry. Yes, I imagine so. Ingrid laughs. We're packing for a trip, actually. I think we've been meaning to visit Defiance Bay, and she looks to Nanton. Well, in truth, I think I've had my fill of this town. You killed that motherfucker, didn't you? It's time for some new scenery. Is there anything you can tell me about the Vale? Only that you'll want to be moving on as soon as you can. You'll have seen the tree, I imagine, but the rot grows deeper. If you were looking for work, you'd say you'd have a better chance of it elsewhere. We're headed for Defiance Bay ourselves. Thanks, Cat. That was really nice of you to just shank me.
Welcome. Good day, stranger.
I can't choose a different statement now. Cat, you're killing me, Smalls. The Dyrwood Part 2, The Broken Stone War. In 2626 AI, a group of farmers, while clearing farmland for planting, accidentally knocked down one of the ancient Adra menhirs on their land. This innocent act drew the ire of the native population and started what would be known as the Broken Stone War. When it was finally over, several thousand colonists had been killed, as well as hundreds of the Glonfothans. Even though the war is technically over, the Glonfothans escalated their attacks. Whoa, rolled too far. And on the settlers over the next 2 years, using vicious tactics that left many colonists, including several military figures, an earl, and 6 thanes dead. Unable to stop the Glonfothan attacks, the earls elected Earl Edron Hadret to the position of Grafe. Okay. Well respected and known to be a master of military tactics, he was tasked with dealing with the Glonfothan threat. Edrang fought with the Glonfothans, led by an Orlan named Regd, for the next 2 years. Neither side could gain the upper hand on the other, resulting in a tense stalemate between the 2 groups. Because of this stalemate, the hostilities slowly died off, and in 2631, the Dyrwood people signed a treaty with the Glonfothans. Regd would step down, and the Glonfothans would stop their attacks altogether, and the Dyrwood people would leave the ruins alone. This treaty angered the nobility in Adir, as it is said to have brought down Idir, whatever the fuck it is, as it brought to a halt the supply of artifacts. Edrang also tried to get the practice of slavery outlawed, but this was not successful. Because of this, the peace between Dyrwood and Glonfoth is uneasy and tumultuous. Small patches of rural violence still cropped up, but were easily dealt with as neither side wanted another war. This bottle of Sonreed is half empty. I don't know what Sonreed is. Well, I think that motherfucker killed his friend. And the cat is driving me crazy. I know that that's a shock to everyone, because she would never do such a thing, because she's obviously such a sweet kitty. Hey, people with glowy stuff. You see a pair of immaculately polished leather boots and an impeccably maintained goatee. Their owner, a slightly hook-nosed man with a wicked grin and narrow eyes. He bobs his feathered hat at a nearby merchant as he ambles by, a small piece of parchment held tight in his fist, ink staining his fair fingers. He seems to know most of the merchants in the market, stopping to engage some, nodding at others, and even bartering for minor goods with a selected few, always smiling, laughing, and exchanging jibes. He approaches a heavy-set Omawa, smile plastered stiff across his face, and jokes about the weather. She jokes back, subtly palming him several gold coins. When he walks away, the paper in his hand is gone, and the smile on his face is far more genuine. He tips his cap at her, winking, and trundles off with a new spring in his step. You see a large crowd gathered in the middle of a courtyard. This man stands in the midst of them, a cloak pulled over his head, holding it closed around his neck. The crowd is congregated around a platform, and they all watch, transfixed, as the man is led to the platform, flanked by 2 city guardsmen. The man is shackled hand and foot, but carries himself as a nobleman, not deigning to even glance at the crowd. The cloaked man pulls his cover closer around his face and turns to leave, hunching over to avoid being seen. A crier on the platform unrolls a parchment and begins to read, but the man pays no attention, intent on getting away from the courtyard. The crier's voice grows louder and more intense as he reads, and the voice from the crowd start to punctuate his sentences. The jeers and shouts grow more frequent with each one, and the cloaked man flinches and his shoulders droop. He breaks from the crowd, coming to the edge of the courtyard as the crier reaches the end of the proclamation. The crowd grows silent again, save for the occasional shout. The man turns back to look at the flat platform, seeing his father kneeling before the block, neck exposed. The executioner moves into position, lifting his axe to strike. The man turns suddenly, unable to watch. There is a wet thunk, and the crowd breaks into cheers and applause. He leans against the wall, regaining his composure, and then straightens up. With obvious resolve, he strides off, away from the crowd and his legacy. Alright, there's nothing up there. I should probably be sneaking more around this town. Do it at high speed.
Yes, as you wish.
The way out. Hey, more spring berries. I want to go back into Naughton's house, but I want to do it all sneaky-like. See if there's anything in this place I should know about. Nah! I already have camping supplies full. Goldratt chew, spirits, grappling hook, and rope. I don't know if I'm yet able to deal with that fucking bear. I'd like to be. But that doesn't mean I am. Because that's not how the world rolls. Well, that's odd. Despite the rains, the stalk feels dry and stiff as a locust husk. I want to see where this goes. Nowhere. Interested that that person snuck away. This is Dyrwood Part 3, The War of Black Trees and the Rise of Admeth Hadret. After the Broken Stone War, the Dyrwood would see peace and prosperity for 21 years. Aside from the occasional slave uprising or border dispute, nothing of note happened until 2652 AI. Some of the Dyrwooden earls, tired of being restricted by the treaties and encouraged by imperial sources, defied the decrees and actively sent people to loot the ruins in the Dyrwood. Response from the Glenfathans was not immediate, but when it came, it was brutal and bloody. There was a slave uprising, and Regd resumed control of his guerrilla fighters. A contingent of Delmgen joined the forces as well, making the fights in the forest even more deadly for the Dyrwooden soldiers. Eldrang, then far too old to lead the Dyrwood in war, sent his son Edmeth to deal with the situation. Edmeth, showing the same technical prowess as his father, set fire to the forest and at the Iskaur River, and then blocks the forces from retreating from the inferno. Some of the Glunfothans escape, but thousands would die in the blaze. Regd is captured and sent to holding in New Humar. Then goes on for this go what? This goes on for several months, and Admeth uses the same tactic many times to flush Gunflathans and Delmgen out from the battlefield. The entire war lasts less than a year. The Dyrwood eventually wins, but at a terrible price. This conflict would become known as the War of Black Trees. Tragedy struck the Dyrwood in 2654 when Eldrang, whose health had been waning, succumbed and passed into the cycle. Regd, who had developed a begrudging respect for his constant adversary over the years they had fought, sent Admeth his sincere condolences from captivity in New Hiomar. Admeth assumed his father's place as grief over the Dyrwood, whatever. The other earls disliked this development and began publicly rebuking Admeth's decrees. In 2655 AI, Admeth, tired of the problems caused by the recalcitrant earls, why can't I not pronounce words tonight, but having support of the new Valian dukes and the common folk of Dyrwood, having saved them from the Glunfothans, delivers an ultimatum to the Furkanig of Ader. He demands to be made a Gref Palatine. This move would give him the authority and power over all the earls, their holdings, and their titles. Dyrwood would become a Palatinate instead of a Griffrem. The Ferkoneg, who did not want to deal with the rebellion while trying to establish hold on the Vorlas trade network in Reed-Saris, begrudgingly agreed to Admeth's demands. Admeth would use his new power to bring all the earls in line. As a trade-off for being given the power, Admeth put money and resources into all of the Dyrwood's ports and to increase shipping traffic. In turn, this increased some of the Ferkonig's income. Good lord, these words are hard. Under Admeth's rule, the Dyrwood saw 7 productive and profitable years. In 2662 AI, he did what had been tried for many years without success, bringing slavery to an end in the Dyrwood. He negotiated the 10 Years' Treaty, so called because it has been 10 years since the War of the Black Trees. A timeline was established in which the slaves would be released. The owners would be compensated with money or land for each slave released. If they did not comply, the slaves would be taken and a fine would be levied against the owner. In return, the Glunfothans would open trade with the Dyrwood and cede some of their territories to the Dyrwoodan government, in a practice meaning they would stop contesting the presence of those who lived and ruled there. Hundreds of Coopers attempted to rebel against this. Admeth, expecting just such a reaction, reacted accordingly, and the rebellion was quickly crushed. His agents then spread propaganda through the populace, making the Coopers' rebellion and its instigators seem far worse than they truly were. This tactic worked, and there would be no more trouble. Alright, so let's stop sneaking here. Whoops! Wrong button. Wrong button. Whoa. Let's just come back out here.
As you wish.
You see a crowded marketplace, vendor stalls lining the road, their proprietors' voices calling out to a passerby to come and sample their wares. This woman wanders through the throng, strolling hand in hand with another woman. They peruse the vendor's goods, tarrying at a book merchant with a number of old and beautiful tomes, chatting with one another about what they see. One will pick up a book and show it to the other, who will take it, comment on it, and place it back on its shelf. Then the first will snatch up the book again and quickly pay the merchant before the other can snatch it back. They will walk away from the market weighed down by packs filled with books, still hand in hand, standing close, comfortable, and familiar with each other. As they pass down a somewhat deserted street, an object suddenly hits this woman in the chest and bounces off, rolling away towards one of the buildings. The woman stops and looks at the object, an apple, and then back up to the person who threw it. There's nothing special about him aside from the angry look on his face and the 2 other apples he holds. Before either woman can move, the man draws back and throws another at them, this one hitting the second woman in the forehead. He yells at them something derisive and hateful about the legacy and about responsibilities. The woman raises her hand to her head and wipes the juice and bits of fruit from her face and stares the man down defiantly. The first woman squeezes her hand and puts the other on her companion's shoulder, attempting to calm her down. The other woman pulls a book from her pack and holds it before her, muttering under her breath. She pulls her hand free and waves it above the book, an aura forming around her. The first woman is still trying to calm her down, but all she says goes unheard. The man, uncaring of the events happening in front of him, draws back and throws the last apple. As it arcs through the air towards them, the second woman brings up her hand and points at the apple. A gloating orb of energy flies from her hand and strikes the apple, causing it to explode, raining bits of apple down on the road and buildings around them. The man's face changes, anger joined by fear, and looking like he's trying to decide if running or attacking is the better course of action. The second woman has started chanting again, her hand glowing, her eyes narrowing. This woman steps in front of her, placing herself between her love and the attacker. She touches her face, gently stroking it while whispering calming words. A kiss. The woman's countenance changes. She calms, her eyes softening, her lips regaining the lost smile. The first woman smiles as well and kisses the other. "Wizard scum," the man behind them says, and the two women turn to face him, staring him down defiantly. They join hands and begin walking again, moving past him without so much as a sideways glance. You see a figure turn gently, steady, and hear a ghostly click as the door swings inward. Two figures slip in, locking the door behind them, and begin their prowl. Their hunt is efficient, and it takes them little time to acquire a sizable collection of documents and oddly shaped velvet pouches. Quick hands fill the pockets, rucksacks, and bags. The door opens downstairs, and everything freezes. Footsteps, a tired giggle. The thieves are all eye whites and short breath as they empty their pockets of all but the necessities, anything noisy hurriedly replaced. Silence from downstairs, then tentative steps up the staircase. A voice calls out. One thief creeps forward and the other gesticulating wildly for him to return. He continues forward, crouching by the banister. He sees a gaudy shoe and shoves. The woman falls with a cut-off scream, rolling lifelessly to the floor below. Swearing, the second thief grabs her brother and they make an escape, collecting whatever of value they can before they get on the way out. Well, that sounds
I shall be discreet.
We out. We're just gonna get out of your house, ladies. Alrighty. This is where I came from. I'm not sure if I should try to tackle the bear. I feel that there is more exploration that I need to do here. And then I told her that's not the pistol. Oh, ha ha ha, with a funny joke. These bones are covered up by tiny bite marks, probably from the black hound. You see a long empty road cutting through two large crop fields. The air is silent and the land seems too still for early afternoon. This woman walks slowly on the road, leading a horse, curiously looking around. She seems to sense something wrong, but is unable to discern what it is. She stops, sniffing at the air, her nose high. Her brow crinkles and she casts about, looking for something. The air is clear, no clouds. She sniffs again, still looking around, confusion clouding her face, mouthing a single word. Fire? She looks out across the fields, her confusion turning to fear. She holds her hands up to block the sun from her eyes and scans the fields again. Not finding what she was looking for, she jumps onto her horse's back, the fear quickly becoming panic. She kicks, sending the horse shooting down the path, which bends around some trees to where the farmhouse should be. She pulls up short, horror now in residence on her face as she stares at the burn and charred mess that used to be her family's home. Tears well in her eyes, and she kicks again, racing to the rubble. I could do this shit all day. You see an emaciated boy in chains, black holes for eyes, staring sightlessly at a wall. A man in a dark coat walks in, a scroll and an oddly shaped quill in his hand. The boy glances at him, expressionless, a corpse waiting for animation. The man clucks at him, disapproval clear in his tone. The boy stands, limbs hanging. The man then takes the quill and begins to write on the boy's chest, copying sharp, angular symbols from the scroll. The child doesn't flinch as the quill digs into his skin, drawing blood as it goes. The wizard finishes with a flourish and barks some arcane commands, setting the symbols to glow dully. The boy cries out, knees hitting the stone hard, his chest burning black and red. Finally, the glow disappears, leaving only hard black scars etched into his skin. He slumps sideways, twitching, eyes facing the back of his skull. The wizard grunts, kicking him on the leg on his way out. The boy lies on the floor until dawn, eyes still like black holes, the twitches growing into convulsive shakes. You see a man soar through the air, hitting a nearby wall with a nauseating crunch. He doesn't get up. His attacker, a burly, clean-cut warrior with a carnivorous grin, turns and shoves his fist into the stomach of another assailant, removing another from the impromptu brawl. The bar is a whirlwind of elbows, knees, fists, and feet with no end in sight, and he is in his element. In the corner, three smaller men speak quietly, throwing malicious glances at the larger man in the center. He breaks a chair over a tattooed head, cackling. The trio position themselves in three parts of the room. With a terse nod, they charge. Unfortunately for them, the man sees them coming, and something in his eyes burns brightly, and all three sunk to the ground in an agony that's all in their minds. The burly man then bows to a room of the unconscious and incapacitated before sauntering out, off-key whistle trailing behind him.
Nice and quiet.
Nice and quiet. Alrighty, so it's...
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I'll take that. We found our hat. Crammed behind the books is a drawing that shows Eothas and Lord Raedric in a compromising position. Take the lockpicks. The Dyrwood Part 1. Early colonial history. No other land has such a wild and bloody recent history. From colony to Palatinate to Free Republic, the Dyrwood has undergone a trial by fire to emerge as a powerful force in the Eastern Reach. Dyrwood's history actually begins in Ader in 2602 AI. Ader explorers returned from a journey across the ocean with tales of the treasures they'd found. They discovered countless ruins scattered throughout the forests, as well as plains to the north of the trees that would be perfect for growing Vorlis. There was a problem, however. The locals were hostile, and therefore there was potential for conflict. The Firkoning of Ader, Fairkuning, first king, knew that this was too good an opportunity to pass up and sent more explorers to scout and map the area. Exploration continued over the next 20 years. Small groups of explorers traveled back and forth between Ader and this new world, with a handful of colonists setting up small camps to establish a base for the explorers to work out of. Conflicts with the locals, who the Aderians learned were called Glonfothans, were rare but frequent enough for the Firkonig to send a small squadron of guards to help protect his citizens. These guards established a central base on a river in the western section of the woods. This settlement would eventually become the city of Dyrwood, upon which the modern-day village of the same name is presently built. Once that base was established, the first permanent Aderian settlement began north and west of the Baal River. Over the next 3 years, thousands of Aderians made the trek from Ader to this new land. The Glonfothans, who seemed to revere the ruins scattered throughout the forest, caused a few problems with some of the settlements, especially those founded near the ruins themselves. These were easily taken care of by the colonists with the help of Imperial Guard. The Iderians, in order to further their foothold in the area, reduced the cost of production, and in an attempt to keep the Glonfothan population under control, started making slaves of any Glonfothans captured during the uprising. This resulted in a great increase in tension between the two groups, with the populations of the area growing and the official government structure that was established by the Firkoning. He appointed several earls to preside over the land and assigned them Danes to help run their territories, and they called the new Grifram the Dyrwood. Durford remained in the center for the Imperial Guard, but the settlement in the Pyrwood Gulf, New Dunrid, was the true seat of power for the area. Sitting on the edge of the ocean, forest, fertile farmland, and a river that runs from the White Coast to the White March, settlers flocked to the area, hoping to establish names for themselves. Ader began to spread across the new land. Alright, nothing else
What
in
is
here.
it?
Let's go back out here. Roaches scatter and flee under the crates. This is such a pleasant place. I use that term loosely. Oh, that would be stealing. I got a new book. 10 Years of Dawn. 10 years I tilled the vorless leaf, and 10 years I told myself that living in St. Waden's footsteps would bring me rebirth. Each day I'd pray that if thou art in the darkness, he shall bring thee light. And each night would bring that's gotta be. And yet each night would bring the same emptiness. For my decade of living as a simple dye farmer, all I have to show for it is a great deal of purple clothing. Eothas has not spoken to us since he appeared at St. Wadenwin. It was my hope that Eothas would claim me as his next vessel, but alas, the child of light remains silent. Every day I practice the ritual of banishing the shadows of the unfaithful, and every day I work my fields in solitude, without sign of Eothas returning. If thou art in darkness, he shall bring thee light. But how long must I remain lost in this long night of abandonment? Is this my punishment for keeping my faith a secret? Is Eothas hiding from me until I shout my reverence for all to hear? Surely he must know that the Dyrwoods hate him and his followers. My countrymen are quick to blame all that was terrible about the Saints' War on those of us still faithful to Eothas. Should they not be angry at the Red Saris soldiers? Do the Dyrwoods not realize that to dismiss the God of rebirth and redemption is to present all hope of healing? As I pen these words, I know that I must continue to till the dye leaf. I will awake each day with hope. If thou art in darkness, he shall bring me light. Each day I will pray that the dawn stars visit me, just as they visited St. Waidwin in his field of Vorlis. Will they come to me as they came to St. Waidwin, as a man and two women, luminescent and perfect? I am told that they come to presage the new times. I am told many things, and I struggle to find the faith to believe it all. And yet each morning the sun rises in the eastern sky, and each morning Eothas illuminates my simple plot of land, casting away the shadows of the unfaithful in his golden gaze. I thank thee, Eothas, for all of the springs I've had and all that will come. I am in darkness. Please bring me light. And in fact, while I'm in this screen, why don't I dump some of this shit in here? But not that. Bam! Fancy! Extra picks in there. Oh, now we have another one. Wish I hadn't bought that. I think I must be in the inn. Oh, God. Strom Brightblade, eh? You see a group of young men standing around a makeshift practice target. This man stands in the middle of them, explaining the construction and use of a bow. He holds it up, pointing out each part as he speaks about it and what it does. He then walks away from the target, telling them to remain where they are, and takes his place about 200 feet away. He carefully lines up his shot, explaining what he is doing as he does, and lets the arrow fly. It hits the target dead center, much to the surprise and delight of the boys near it. He smiles, walking towards the boys, talking about proper stance and how to most effectively hold the bow. A noise comes from the tree lying near their practice venue, and he stops, scanning the woods, blue eyes squinting against the sun. A shadow moves, making its way through the forest behind them. He draws an arrow and lines up the shot, carefully tracking the motion of the hidden creature. Loosing the arrow, he wastes no time and quickly grabs another. The boys spin, watching the arrow fly into the forest, immediately lost among the trees. There is a sudden explosive movement in the undergrowth as a deer erupts from the tree line, running across the edge of the clearing. The boys laugh, turning to joke with the man about his lousy shot. They stop talking, seeing him holding the bow and leading the deer with a knocked arrow. They drop to the ground as he looses this last arrow, which flies true and strikes the deer right behind its shoulder, piercing its heart and lungs and dropping it dead almost immediately. The boys stare at the deer for a few seconds and then slowly turn to look at the man, newfound respect in their eyes. He smiles again and breathes a quiet sigh of relief. You see a woman emptying her satchel onto her bed, taking stock of her inventory. Potions, bandages, tinctures, and herbs are scattered around her room haphazardly. She bites her lip, head tilted to the side, considering. She begins to repack one item after another, careful deliberation undercut by shaking hands. Each item has a clearly marked place, but no matter how she repacks it, she isn't satisfied. The shaking worsens as she empties it out once more, one hand held to her mouth. Tears eke from her eyes as she gives up all semblance of order and shoves everything she can into the satchel, grabbing it and running out of the bare house. Straightening her back as she walks to the docks, chin high, eyes hard and red. A gangly young elf offers his condolences, but she can't see him for the ocean ahead of her. She wanders the docks, offering her services as a doctor to any who will listen, anyone heading out on the high tide. Less than an hour later, she watches her childhood disappear in the distance, a tiny speck of an island, and tries not to jump. Whoa.
I shall be discreet.
As I have stated, not much is known about this group by the world at large because they don't welcome outsiders into their numbers. While many believe that they are xenophobic and openly hostile to all who enter Arglanfath, the truth doesn't seem to be as broad or deadly, and certainly not that simple. There are many places in Glanfath that could be called magical or sacred to the Glanfathans. One legend states that the Engwithans, who had suddenly abandoned their kingdom and left for places unknown, took the time to guide the ancient Glanfathan tribes into the now vacant land. The Glanfathans were gifted with the fertile area as their new homeland, but in return for being given such a gift, an oath was required. The Glanfathans were instructed to protect the Engwithans' ruins until such time that they could return and reclaim the ruins. They were required to swear that no living person, including the Glanfathans themselves, would be permitted entrance into the ruins. Differing accounts suggest that the Glanfathans were promised more than a homeland and that the Engwithans were the favored people of the gods, and that keeping their oath would confer similar benefits to the Glanfathans in the end. Oddly, the rules do not seem to apply as strictly within the borders of the Twin Elms, a site built upon a large concentration of Engwithan structures, but it would seem that this is unlikely a selective oversight on the part of the Glanfathans, and more probably part of the terms of the original compact. In any case, the Glanfathans came to take their role as guardians very seriously, revering the sites and developing rituals designed to protect and guard the ruins. Over time, these rituals became rote formality to some, as much legend and superstition as many other stories were passed down. That is not to say... Where'd I lose myself? That is not to say the Glanfathans ceased all attempts to uphold their oath, see the section about the 10 Years' Treaties in my book about Admeth Hadret, but the intense devotion to the oath tended to vary from tribe to tribe and clan to clan. Not so with the Fangs, however. The Fangs are a group joined not by ties of kinship or even community, but of belief. Of all the groups of Glanfath, it is the Fangs who seem most intent on keeping the promise that their ancestors made to the Engwithans. Just because their fanaticism and zeal are not as widely sweeping as many think does not make them any less dangerous. The Fangs are not known to reason with those who they view as transgressors. If they feel that you have in any way violated the sanctity of the sacred space, their judgment is swift and exact. Reports of the Fangs' attacks can be found in records dating back to the first colonial explorations of Glanfath, and even the smallest of a perceived slight can be worthy of execution. The order itself seems to consist mainly of hunters. Whether they are recruited as skilled hunters or trained once they gain access to the order, it's unknown. From all accounts, once they join the Fangs, hunting game falls second behind patrolling Glanfath and protecting the ruins. So it is this author's opinion that it is the former. Beer and grain. Some kind of brown slop is congealing in these dishes. And it smells burnt. So it's not just shit, it's like burnt shit. The floorboards are sticky with spills that no one has bothered to clean.
Hail, traveler.
The innkeeper bows her head curtly. Please sit where you like. Would you like a drink or a room? We have 2 available at the moment. I'm afraid we can't offer much by the way of a good meal today, so she sighs, unless you're fond of cold porridge. You only serve porridge? Aloth looks at you and shakes his head quickly. It isn't by choice, I assure you. We used to serve some of the finest meals in the Dyrwood. We've had a damnable run of luck is all. It's been a bad season for crops, and we're running low on supplies. I sent Tenfrith up north to stock up. Tenfrith's our cook, you see, an artist with a good roast, but it's been days since he was supposed to return, and we haven't seen any sign of him. She sighs again. I've only just taken over from the last owner myself. I don't know what'll happen if he doesn't turn up. I'll find him. Really? Her face brightens. I'd be grateful to you if you did. He was traveling through the Valewood. It's probably nothing. A broken wheel, maybe, but I do worry. That motherfucker got killed by those other motherfuckers. I could use some reliable help. Know of anybody looking for work? Oh, well, I can't say I wouldn't say I can speak from experience, but we do have certain sorts come by looking for work from time to time. If you want to hire somebody, I'd be happy to send them your way. Oh, who I got to work with? A level 1 adventurer. Can I get more information? Whoa, I can do a lot of random shit here. I don't need the rapier. I don't need that. Sell some books. And actually, I should hang on to the rapier and the padded armor. So let's just sell the books. Alright, let's... I would really like to have another person with us. We've got Squishy and Squishy. We both do a lot of damage, but we're both...
Nice and quiet.
Really, really squishy.
What is it?
Take all of the booze.
As you wish.
Spoons hang by the fire, coated in brownish gunk.
There's something ahead.
What? Plus 15 accuracy for 10 seconds. What does this do anyway? Minus 20 fatigue. That'll be good to have.
What is it? As you wish.
Alright, let's finish exploring the town first, and then we'll see about hiring someone else. My cat's starting to shed this season, so as you can hear, I'm getting a little
Keeping an
sniffly.
eye out.
Blackhound Inn. You ever been to Defiance Bay? With the roads like they are, I'll stay put. Smart guy. Let's investigate this little temple, shall we? Wonder if there's a way that I can look up what my current reputation is. Oh, I'm rational. Let's not run in fast move now. The rising sun and the 3 dwarf dawn stars, the symbol of the Eothans. Hello? Who's there? A man lies resting against the wall, lit by the dim illumination of the fading sconces. He has a gaunt, fox-like aspect, and his face is pale and damp with sweat. One arm is held loosely against his side, sleeve soaked with blood. He gives you an anxious glance as you near, his features twisted with pain. I thought you were some... Never mind, whoever you are, you've traveled a long way to reach a dark place. This temple isn't what it used to be, probably for the best. Times being as they are, he groans and shifts position, wincing. I'm no looter, if that's what you're thinking. Not one of the faithful either, just wanted to do some good, I suppose. Got my arm clawed up for it. He regards you wearily. Maybe you'll have better luck. Better luck with what? The man points a finger upward. The ruins around us used to be a temple of Eothas, the scattered god, a grand temple at that. His worshippers would come from all over Dyrwood, from Red Carass even. Red Saras, whatever. Until the war, of course. Even then, you'd get some of the stubborn ones, the ones that couldn't get it through their heads that their god was dead and gone. Is this really the time for a history lesson? Wharton laughs and winces as it jostles his arm. Just giving you the full story is all. What I want is deeper inside the temple, where the priests live. Lord Raedric had them killed, same as the poor bastards on that tree outside. The temple's been sealed up for years until just a short time ago. That's where I got involved, and now you, I hope. He pauses to breathe a moment. The priests, if you can find their remains, well, maybe we can finally give them a proper burial. I got some other questions first. Why can't you do it yourself? Well, I tried. I only got a short ways before I got in over my head. I haven't raised a blade in a long time. It turns out it isn't something you can just pick up again, but you look like you can handle yourself. Won't Raedric mind us digging around in here? I wouldn't go telling him about it. Lingering around in these places, it's no good for anyone. But you do this quick and quiet, and we can do right by those priests without raising a fuss. And any chance there's something down there worth a little more than some old bones? He looks around. Probably. Nobody's been through the place since it was sealed up, well, apart from me, and I didn't touch anything. Any valuables in there, you get first crack at them. I only ask you to do this favor for me while you're at it. And who are you? Name's Wharton. I've lived in Gilded Vale long enough to remember how grand it used to be. I used to help the temple sometimes, bring supplies, that's all. I don't have any more questions. I'll go in and find them, because you said that there's stuff. Then by the flame I owe you a good turn. But listen, the temple's been sealed off for so long it's crawling with creatures. If you get past them, the priest would be down on the floor, lower floor. They'll still be there, if they're anywhere. Those priests had all kinds of secret chambers, switches in the walls, trick sconces, that sort of thing. Keep an eye out, and take care down there. I wouldn't want to have sent someone else after your remains. I'll wait here by the stairs to keep a lookout. Oh, you're a useless sack of shit, dude.
Keeping an eye out.
See what we got in here. I so should have rested at the inn. Oh, they're little baby spiders. Alright, so we're going to do that.
How
You...
may I help?
Fire the minor missiles at that. I hope that's 3 per encounter and not per rest.
Yes.
And you just stab it. Go. Alright, back to sneaking.
Of course.
Ooh, an initiate's note. This parchment is relatively intact, but the ink upon it is faded. You can make out a few patches of carefully tidy script. Resistors to the ritual floor. Raptorx Obrica says, redemption for even these. Forgotten struck the largest bell first rather than second. The rest is illegible. Okay, so I'm gonna want to hang on to that. Oh, camping supplies. Why don't we camp? Okay. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of the Gilded Vale's gallows tree, the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face is shriveled inward like moldering fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is a mere inches from your face. Suddenly, her head snaps up and her eyes open, and they are empty, and behind them is vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts in a gust of rancid air as she speaks the word, Watcher. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with new, queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, even if only to confirm she is truly dead.
A blade in the dark.
Okay, so we'll definitely check that out in the future. Let's head back around here. I don't know where to go. It's too big. 2 square. Ooh, some Audra. And 20 bucks. What the hell is that? Alright.
How may I
you
help?
to magic-y spelly that.
Well,
And I want you to shoot it.
Lava will be on seek.
That's not good enough. Oh my god.
How may I help?
Oh my god.
Lava will be on seek.
Damn it. And she's confused.
what is it?
First, heal yourself. Then, kill that. Shit on a biscuit.
Of course. Just a little blood.
Oh god. No! Oh, son of a bitch. Okay, we are not ready for that. At the very least, not going that way. Let's get the fuck out of there. We'll come back for you. Do that later.
I'll take care of it.
Did that say he was badly injured? Alright, so what we're going to do then is we're going to go to the inn and we're going to get a room. We're going to rest and trigger that thing, and then we're going to go talk to the dwarf lady at the door. Hi, I need a room.
Hello.
Let's go with the labor. No, let's just go with the common room. Blah, 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 tree. Blah, 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 scary dwarf face. Well, now it's nighttime. The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bow that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it, and you feel that somehow you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out towards the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there is a sudden jolt in your mind, a ringing, electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes. You feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog. Her body still swaying in a wind you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives you a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you. Have you...
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
Am I imagining this?
No, I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy even. To not have to wander anymore, no? Alas, we are here, you and I. Wherever here may be.
I think I need to understand something that's happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face, as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there. You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
And what the fuck is that?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair, and here we are visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times.
Like times that you were alive?
Souls pass on. Some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either leaving or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder!
I need you to cut back for a second. You said something about when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprouts from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Merwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
So as a mention, I think I survived a Beawick. Do you know why?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing.
That's not very helpful.
Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me, no?
So they fall apart?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Remergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
She clicks her tongue. I'd like to know more about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
Who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
I would like to point out I like the fact that the dwarf does not have a Scottish brogue. She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself. Buttery yellow teeth.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
No, but I bet you'll tell me.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
So what is an animancer anyway?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins, miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid.
Yep, that's generally how it is.
It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Dyrwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
Alright, well.
Of course, dear.
It was nice talking-ish to you. Talking-ish? Thinking. It was nice thinking to you.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
She closes her eyes and her head slumps forward over the noose, and your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. Aloth looks at you through narrowed eyes. Are you all right? You seemed lost just now. Yeah, I'm fine. He folds his arms. That's good to know, but I don't suppose you could tell me what that was all about. Well, I guess I have no fucking choice in the matter. His arched eyebrows recede into his hood. Well, that's interesting. He gives you a sly grin, and I expect that explains how you survived to be awake then. Hmm? In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. What do you know about them? Only that they're rare and that they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions. He coughs. as you just demonstrated. Yeah, speaking of being honest,
Yes.
I don't feel that you just were.
17 and a half.
Oh, hey, I get to level up. Alright. So the points to advance do continue to grow. Definitely want a point of mechanics. I'd like another point of lore. And get another point of stealth. See, it causes the rogue to dive into battle without a second thought, but lowering his or her deflection, but increasing accuracy and weapon damage. Screw that. Allows the rogue to break engagement and expertly avoid the next attack, diving out of range to a specific location. The rogue employs a variety of underhanded tactics, turning some of their hits into critical hits. Done. No new talents. Okay, so I didn't say I did. Let's see. There's what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's at Black Meadow. Better days. Much. Get it through the Valewood. I'm pretty sure that those fuckers killed him. Alright, we're gonna hire somebody to go with us. Because we need a dude.
Good day to you.
Take the level 2. I get to make them. Make it a dude. Mountain Dwarf. Yeah, we'll get a Mountain Dwarf fighter. Yeah. Oh, wait, what's this guy do? Boost all their defenses. Blah, 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 blah. High, high. Average, very high. What about this one? High, high, very high, high. We'll go with a fighter. Yeah, that'll do. It'll come from Old Valia. No, that's not where he came from. Last stop. I don't really want that. Where's... We'll have him come from Ixamiddle Plains. And he's a mercenary, obviously. Silvery gray, and... Yeah, we'll go with blue. Gonna be a tan dwarf. And actually, I like him with bright red hair. Yep, Mohawk.
What is it?
Time to see and not be seen.
Follow me.
We'll go with that one. Oh, shit. I hadn't thought about this part. Ooh. Name for the big fat dwarf. Let's see which one of you poor bastards am I going to do this to. And more importantly, do I know how to spell your names? It's a very valid question. Let's see what happens when I try to, like, do something here. Is it going to crash the game? No one knows. Shit. Okay, so I had to look it up. We'll make this guy Raptorx. Haha, you get to be a short, fat dwarf. Yeah, you should be a level 2 fighter. What the shit? Oh, good. He gets to level up right away. Alright. So we'll give you another point of athletics. And another point of survival. Couple points of stealth. And I guess we'll give you a point of lore just to round it out. For no new class unlocks, but you get a trait. So modifies constant recovery and gives you extra endurance. Going to give you weapon and shield style so that you are a proper meat shield.
Follow me.
No, don't be paused. Alright, let's go see about a bear. And we will see about that bear.
Sure.
This video has gone on for way too long. So we will see about that bear next time. Actually, you know what? We'll see about that bear right the fuck now, and then we'll go on from there. Alright, cool. You're going to go to the Valewood. Go. I had set an alarm, but apparently it refused to actually activate.
Quiet.
So, whatevs. Okay, first order of biz. Let's use our grappling hook. You give the grappling hook a few swings and let it fly. The hook lodges easily behind a pile of stones in the upper wall. If you tugs on the rope, suggest that it will stay put. Well, let's climb. With the help of the rope, you make your way up the face of the wall and over the side. We got a corpse here. Gloves of reflex. Scrawled letter. I do not think you will ever see this, but you are right, Fulvano. We should have journeyed south together, and been safer for it. I would tolerate all the gloating in the world if I might live to hear it. I put myself out of the reach of the beasts circling below, but I am done for all the same. I do not think I will rise again. Whoever finds this, pray for me. Perhaps in the next life, I shall be a trapper of wolves. I wouldn't hold my breath if I were you, but, you know, whatever works for you. Whatever lets you sleep at night. So I think that we can now... Let's climb down.
I shall be discreet.
I think that we can now also deal with these motherfuckers over here. So, here's how we're going to do it. You...
Sure.
Yes.
Whoa, that's cool.
How may I help?
We're going to start off and have you blow up that guy while you
Well,
also shoot him. And you hit him in the face with a mace. Go.
Lava will be on.
Yep. Blah, blah, blah.
what is it?
Yeah.
Why don't you do that? And then go back to beating him.
What is it?
You switch to that and move over here. You want you to move up here. And now cast your flame spell.
Well,
Ooh, get out of the way.
Alright,
Alright, now move over here and attack that guy. And then you cast that on that guy. I told you to cast it on.
yes.
Alright, that went much better.
Sure.
Just take all their shit.
I'm no pack mule. Let's offload this junk.
What are you wearing anyway? Leather armor. Let's have you equip the gloves. Like it better. Eight deflection shield. 16 deflection, but minus 8 accuracy. I'm okay with that. Dump some of this shit in here. What's his mace do? 13 to 19 crush average speed. Okay. Do that on your quick line. Our stash. Throw that in our stash. Throw that in our stash. And that in our stash. Put that in the stash. Might as well go ahead and put that on. Why don't you're already wearing one. Alright, well, never mind. And what does this armor look like? Terrible. Right, I already looted that crate. This tent is empty, but
Bring
for
an
a pair
iron.
of stained cots and the stink of unwashed bodies. Stiletto.
Well met, friend.
Oh. By the flame, thank you, thank you. I thought I'd be stuck cooking for these ignorant weasels for the rest of my life, or until they were bored with me, I suppose. Did Pasha sent you? Yes, she did. She must be beside herself. I must get back at once. But listen, next time you're in the Gilded Vale, be sure to stop by the Black Hound. I'll let you know what she did for you, and she'll be right by your turn. Okay, so I got more reputation. Oh, to be back at my oven again. Yeah, we're allies with the, we're faintly good when it comes to Gilded Vale. Now. Oh shit, that grappling hook is gone. Thankfully, we've got another. Alright, time to deal with the bear. I need to know more about what happened here. And I suspect I get to talk with his corpse. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to save real quick. Overwrite that save file.